Hi, I'm Drew Saur, and today we're going to talk about an advanced communication skill, namely the importance of silence. And silence is a skill and one you can actually work on, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So first, what do I mean by silence? So I don't mean quiet. And so quiet to me is the beginning of the meeting, somebody's setting up their presentation, people are on their laptops or on their phones, there's just no noise. To me, that's quiet. When I talk about silence, I mean a very specific scenario right after you've asked a question. So you give your presentation, you finish it up, and you say, so are there any questions? Crickets. That moment is what we're talking about in silence, because most people, myself included, especially when I started out, have a very, very low tolerance for extended silence. And so what we're going to talk about today are just three quick ideas. So first is how to build that skill, that muscle. Second is how to use it. And third is how to abandon it gracefully, because it doesn't always work. So the first is, what is your tolerance for silence? And like any other exercise, you can actually just work on this one and extend it. So we'll do a little experiment here. Now this is a video, so it may or may not actually come across as strongly, but this is what, let's say, 5 seconds of silence looks like. So I finish my presentation, I say, are there any questions? So that was probably around 5 seconds. Not a very long time, but entirely possible that you already started to feel a little uncomfortable because I wasn't saying anything. And so what you want to do is just practice getting comfortable with that feeling. And what happens with a lot of people is the longer the silence goes, the more tense they become and the more concerned they become that something's not right. You want to get to the point where silence is okay and you're comfortable and you're relaxed and maybe you're smiling a little bit. So easiest way to do this is to practice. So find somebody that you trust, family, friend, colleague, and do the experiment. Say, okay, I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you just not to say anything for 5 seconds. So you ask the question, and then you wait. And you just see how it feels, and you kind of get comfortable. And then you try it with 10 seconds, and 15, maybe 30. And I guarantee you, somewhere in there, you will start to get uncomfortable. And what you want to do is just extend it. Right? You want to make sure that you can handle, in a calm, confident way, extended silences. Because ultimately, as we go to question number 2, which is how to use this, you want to have a tolerance for silence that is greater than the people you're meeting with. That's kind of the idea, right? And you're not doing this to make them uncomfortable, although people would tell you that, okay, this is a great negotiating tactic, you make them uncomfortable, they're going to give you stuff. Okay, technically, yes. But I personally believe it's much better from an engagement perspective. I'm assuming you really do want to hear what these people have to say, and so you need to be comfortable with silence in order to get it out of them. And so the way you do this is simply ask, right? You finish a meeting, so what questions do you have? And then you wait. Round 1, just literally count in your head. So say, okay, my target is 5 seconds, my target is 10 seconds. And so if people aren't asking questions, literally count in your head, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, until you get to your target, 5, 10, 15, wherever you're at personally. Start with potentially, if you're a manager, your staff, because this is an easy one. Why? Well, because they work for you. So they're going to be nice to you, right? They're not going to tell you, even if it's very, very awkward, they're probably not going to say anything. They're going to generally be polite about it. So start with them and just, again, get used to this as a skill. You move up the chain, you want to be able to do it with peers. Where you ultimately want to be able to do is that you're so comfortable with this skill that you're comfortable doing it with your boss or even more senior executives, where you give this kind of period of silence after questions to try to improve engagement with those people. And you'll be surprised that it really doesn't take very long. If you can hang in there for the 10 to 15 seconds, chances are somebody will contribute because their tolerance, they've never worked on this, so their tolerance is probably in the single digits. So that's number 2. Just practice using it. It's a great way to improve engagement. The last point is that it doesn't always work. So you need to be able to get out gracefully, right? So try it. So what happens when literally, okay, now it is getting awkward, right? You can't just sit there for 5 minutes because, okay, people are going to feel awkward. The simple message is give them a reason for the silence. Their brain is probably going, hey man, we've been sitting here for a long time. This is really awkward. Does that mean this is a really bad presentation? Does everybody hate it? Was everybody paying attention to other things? There's things going through their heads as to why the silence has extended. So all you do, very simply, is give them the reason. And the way you do this is you just have a closing comment. So you say, does anybody have any questions? The time ticks off. Okay, you're really not getting anything. You can say things like, okay, well, I know I went over a lot of information and you probably need some time to digest it. So feel free to reach out to me tomorrow or after this meeting, and I'd be happy to follow up with any questions you have. So if you see what I did there, I gave you the reason why nobody is asking questions. I pointed out that it was a lot of material. I pointed out that you probably need some time to digest it. Oh, okay, well that makes sense, right? This is what the audience will kind of feel. It's, oh, okay, yeah, that was a lot of information. Oh yeah, it would be good to digest it. That's why there are no questions. So again, you just want to come up with a phrase. You can basically pre-write this so you're comfortable with it and it kind of rolls off your tongue. But when it gets to be too long and you're kind of ready to abandon, do it gracefully. Give them the reason why the silence was there and there were no questions. And then you can exit gracefully. And that also gives you a bit more confidence that you won't get stuck in the, oh my God, this is so awkward, what do I do now? You always have that kind of parachute that you can pull whenever it gets a little too awkward for you. So that's it. That's the idea of building the skill of silence. Again, look around, it comes up all the time, and if you can just get a little bit better, it will serve you very well and make you a more effective communicator, a more effective collaborator, and overall will improve your prospects in terms of getting your career to where you want it. And as always, if you want some more videos, you can go to drewsaur.com, sign up for my mailing list or my free next level crash course at drewsaur.com/next level. So try it out, get comfortable with silence, and I look forward to talking to you next time.